This is how I use the new action button on the iPhone 15 Pro to control my smart home. Spoiler alert, I think this thing's going to change the game pretty significantly. I'm going to show you exactly what I've set up so far, but let me explain why this action button is such a big deal for smart home. Okay, so the end goal of smart home is to have everything totally automated, where you don't have to use voice control, you don't have to go on your phone, everything just happens around you. But the problem is you can't automate everything. If you over-automate things, it just becomes a huge hassle. A really big example of this for me is music. I cannot find an automation that works well to automatically play music on my HomePod. I find no matter what, whenever it starts playing, it happens to happen at an inconvenient time and I just don't like it. So music is an example of one of those things that I don't want to automate, so I trigger it with my voice or I trigger it on the app on my phone. Those voice commands and tapping your phone works totally well, but they both still do take time. It takes time to say that voice command. It takes time to open your phone, find the device in your app, and click it. And not only that, sometimes you just don't want to do either of those things. A good example of that is, let's say you're in bed with your partner and you don't want to yell out a voice command, you don't want to pick up your phone so it's all bright out. That is where this little button's going to come in. It fills that gap in between. It's something that we could push and interact with really quickly. We could do it while our phone's in our pocket. We could do it while it's on the desk and control devices in our smart home without having to output that voice command, without having to pick up our phone, but with things still not being automated so we retain some manual control. This is a really big deal. Now, the problem with the action button is you could only bind one single action to it. There's all these really basic actions set up, none of them are smart home related, but what you can bind is a single Siri shortcut. If you don't know what shortcuts are, it's basically Apple's native scripting and automation language. We use them all the time in smart home. So my goal here is to build one single Siri shortcut that uses a whole bunch of different conditional logic so I can make sure that this button does exactly what I want it to do at a certain given time, and that could be a whole bunch of different things. Now, I have only had this phone for 24 hours, so I haven't had time to build that absolutely perfect shortcut, but what I have done is done a bunch of testing, and I have three main pillars that I think are going to be the main things that we use to build these perfect shortcuts, and I'm going to show them to you now. So the first one, and I'm really proud of this one, is using occupancy sensors to have it control the lights in whatever room you're in. For context, I have sensors in my entire house in every room, so my smart home knows what room I'm in at all times. So all of these sensors are set up so that when the room is entered, the light's turned on, and when I leave the room, the lights turn off. This is great. But sometimes when I'm in that room, I want to turn off the lights, and I don't want to tell the voice command, and I don't want to look on my phone and go through the app. So check this out. This shortcut checks all of the occupancy sensors in my house. So it checks if the office is occupied, it's going to turn off all the lights in the office. If the bathroom is occupied, it's going to turn off all the lights in the bathroom. Bound that to the button here. Now check this out. Let's say I walk in my office, I'm in here, but I want to sit down and play games and turn all the lights out. I don't want to go through the effort of putting in the voice command or pulling out my phone. All I have to do is hold the action button. You'll see it pop up there, and all the lights. And then check this out. Here in the bathroom now, haven't changed anything. All it's changed is the occupancy sensor. I just hold that button, and the bathroom lights turn off. So that alone, I think, is a really cool use case, having a switch to the lights in whatever room you're in your pocket, so you don't need to have any voice commands or tap your phone to control the lights, and you can do this with any device. So the other pillar I want to use for this is location-based automations, where when I push the button, it checks whether or not I'm home or at work or wherever you want to have it, and have it do different things depending on what location you're in. One of the ones I set up here for this test is the music I was talking about. So I have it set up where if I'm at home, it checks I'm at home and makes sure if I'm at home, it's gonna play and pause music. So now all of a sudden, I'm able to play and pause the music in my house just with this action button. When I'm walking around the house, if I want to listen to some tunes, I just tap it when it's there in my pocket. If I want to stop, I just tap it again. And all of the HomePods in my house both start and stop playing music. This has been really nice, and I've been using it all the time. And then I could have some other kind of logic activate when I'm left the house. I've toyed around with a few different things, from locking the door to shutting down the house. There's a whole bunch of different things to try, but the idea that you could just have it there, whether you're at work, home, or left the house, is really, really cool to have that level of control. Now, the last one here are time-based automations. This uses the time of day. You could also do like day of the week to once again change what this button does. So I've only used this once, but it's been very useful, but I have the time-based automation set, so if it's later than 10 p.m., when I push the button, it's gonna turn out all of the lights in the house. This means when I go to bed and I'm laying there with my partner and I don't wanna wake her up by yelling at a loud voice command, I don't wanna pull out my phone and have the bright light shining in my face, I just have to reach over on my bedside table, push and hold that button, and it will shut down the whole house. It's gonna turn off all the lights, lock the doors, close all the blinds, just my regular shutdown smart home routine. Normally we trigger that routine manually because we both go to bed at different times and we want to make sure we shut down the house before bed, and we either do that on our phones or on our voice. Now all I got to do, reach over my phone, push that button. If it's after 10 p.m., it'll shut down the house. So that's how I'm using the action button in my smart home so far. I know that was a lot and a lot of different use cases, but the main thing here is going to be dialing in exactly which one of these you use and why, and then layering them in a big stack of if and statements. So you could do, if I'm home and it's past 5 p.m., do this. If I'm in the living room and it's during the day, do that. If I'm out of the house, blah, blah, you know what I mean? You could basically have this button do whatever you want based on those 3 different pillars: occupancy in room, time of day, and current location. And between all of that, we could very likely weave together this ultimate automation that just triggers on this one tap of a button. I'm gonna be optimizing this over time, and I'm gonna try over the next few days to have one kind of put together that I could hopefully share with you guys that you guys could use yourself. That being said, if you guys have any ideas, feedback, input at all, let me know in the comments here. I'm working on this stuff right now as we speak, so I'd love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll catch you in the next video.